It's Thursday, and you know what that means. We're talking two-start streaming pitchers and waiver wire targets right now.
It's about that time.
Stoned on Sports.
What's going on, everybody? You are tuned in to Stoned on Sports Fantasy Baseball, and it is our favorite show of the week. We are talking two-start pitchers. We got some waiver wire targets, and we got one guy who, yeah, you should definitely keep him on the bench, although that's kind of burying the lead since that was on the thumbnail. As always, got the co-host Kyle here. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Always, I say it every week, but always excited to talk about this. Love doing the research for Two Start and helping you all find some low-owned advantages for your Week 11 lineups. Just get started.
Yeah, let's dive into this. It's time to ask that question: to start or not to start? And the first person we are going to ask that question about is Mackenzie Gore of the Washington Nationals. He has starts this week going up against the Mets and Atlanta, and those are both at home. The Mets have been pretty much the worst offense in baseball this past week, and they've got the most strikeouts in the league. The Braves have been a bit better, but they're not really scoring that many runs, and they've got the fourth most strikeouts, and that spells good news because Mackenzie Gore can strike some dudes out. He is a three-pitch pitcher with an additional changeup that he uses exclusively against right-handers, and he is one of the hardest throwers in the game. All three of his off-speed and breaking pitches each have a whiff rate north of 35%. So as you can guess, he's been pretty damn good this year. He's 4-4 across 11 starts with an ERA under 3. His FIP, xFIP, and expected ERA all say that it's legit. He's striking out almost 30% of hitters, well over 11 strikeouts per 9 innings. His chase rate, surprisingly, is kind of mid-pack, but his whiff rate is in the top quarter of the league, and he's got a healthy 13% swinging strike rate. His walks are a little below average, but he's been a little bit less efficient than what you want to see. He's only throwing 64% strikes. He does give up a lot of hits, right? But his quality of contact is good. His exit velocity and hard hit rate are both in the top third of the league, and in the barrel rates mid-pack. You put them all together and you've got somebody who does a good job of limiting the hard contact. He keeps the ball in the park too, which is incredibly important. Under 1 home run per 9. You always want to see that. And overall, he's allowing contact on fewer than 75% of his pitches, which is well below average. And his zone and outside the zone contact rates are also below average. That all sounds great. Now I'm going to tell you he's got a whip approaching 1.3. Why? This dude gives up a lot of hits, over 1 an inning. But where do they come from? Well, per Fangraphs, his 26.8% line drive rate is the worst among qualified pitchers. Defensively, the Nationals are one of the worst teams. They're bottom 5 in many metrics. Atlanta has one of the highest line drive rates as a team this season. But as I mentioned before, they've been striking out quite a bit, especially lately. Altogether, I think this dude has a great chance at 2 quality starts this week. The Mets really don't scare me. You got the polar bear who got hit on the hand. The MRI come back clean, but that's going to affect him for a minute. And we've said this all season long about the Nationals. They are a pesky ass team that just do not want to go away. Do like the good shot at 2 quality starts. I think he can even sneak a win out in there as well. Excellent. What do we got popping off here in the chat? Look at this. Kelsey made it.
Yeah.
Glad to see it.
Yeah. And she actually asked a question just now. Any good outfielders to chase? I was told my outfield is weak.
Yeah. Yes, it is a little bit. And we've got some outfielders coming up here. But we've got another 2-start pitcher to talk about. This Angels pitcher has been on absolute fire over his last 3 starts, allowing just 3 total earned runs across 20 innings pitched. What's been the secret to his success, Kyle?
He's really been kind of lucky a little bit too. But so Tyler Anderson of the Angels does have a start the 3rd at home versus San Diego, and on Sunday the 9th at home against Houston. Took the loss yesterday against the Yankees, allowed 1 run on 4 hits, issued a season high six walks. So that's what you don't want to see. Pitched 5 innings, got 4 strikeouts. However, it was his 3rd straight outing in which he's allowed just 1 earned run. And that was versus some great lineups. The Yankees I just mentioned, the Astros, and the Rangers. On the season, that puts him at 11 starts. He's 500, 5-5 in 69 and a 3rd innings pitch. ERA is 2.47. WHIP is 113. I mentioned he's kind of getting lucky there. His FIP and XFIP are both located in the 4s. So getting lucky, got some good defense behind him. I do like that he has the ability to hang around in games. He's lasted at least 6 innings in 8 out of his 11 starts. I love that. Strikeout rate could be better. It's just at 17.1. He's below average with all the other, in the MLB. God, I can't talk. Walk rate is 10.4. That's below average as well. He was just right at average before yesterday's 6 walks. Kind of balloon that up a little bit. He's a career 7.4 guy. So I believe he'll get those under control a little bit more as the season moves on. Doesn't allow a ton of hard contact either. Exit velo, hard hit rate are both above average. His barrel rate is 3% worse than league average. I do really like his swing and miss game. He's above average in chase and whiff rates. And his best pitch in that regard, his changeup has a 37% whiff rate, striking out batters 25% of the time with just a 191 batting average against. Some concerns with his fly ball rate being 10% higher than league average, along with a massive pull rate. He has allowed 8 homers in his start so far. It seems like a lot, but his home runs per 9 is still right at average. I mentioned he's got Padres. In the last 15 days, they're bottom 7 in runs, bottom 10 in RBIs and walks, bottom 5 in OPS versus lefties. Tylor is a lefty, and they are just 22nd in batting average against lefties. So I like that matchup. The one versus Houston, they've performed actually pretty well in the last 2 weeks, but they are in the bottom half in batting average versus changeups. And Tyler Anderson has a changeup that has the best run value in the majors. I'm pretty confident in his 2 starts for week 11.
I think so too.
Yeah. Let's see. Next guy we're going to talk about. You don't see this type of pitcher in the leagues too much anymore. He's a knuckleballer, finding some success with it, and partly because the league is really unfamiliar with dealing with knuckleballs these days. In his last 4 starts, he has 31 strikeouts. That is the 3rd most during that time frame. We're talking about Matt Waldron with the Padres.
Matt freaking Waldron. This dude is the number 3 starting pitcher since May 11th that no one is talking about, but here we are. If you're somebody who drafted a scrub, we'll say like Kenta Maeda, this might be a good option as a replacement. He's got games at the Angels and at home against Arizona, and both of those teams are struggling to score runs as of late. As a matter of fact, Arizona is the lowest scoring team in the league over the past couple of weeks. Neither team is striking out all that much, but they're not walking that much either, and that can be dangerous because these are teams that put the ball in play, right? Good things happen when you put the ball in play. That said, we got a knuckleballer on the list finally, and it's been a minute. And this dude has been solid this year, right? Not amazing, but solid. 3-5 across 11 games start. His ERA is a little high at 4.26, but his expected ERA is 3/4 of a run's lower, and the xFIP is a half a run lower. So there's some room for improvement there. He strikes out a little bit more than a batter per inning, and he keeps the ball in the park, which is fantastic. His walks are a little high on the season, but over his last 4 starts, he has been fantastic. He's 2-1, only given up 5 earned. He's struck out 31, only walked 6 across 23 innings pitched. Look, with this dude, the strikeouts are going to be volatile. He has very low chase and whiff rates, but he's also keeping runs off the board. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in 5 of his last 6 starts. He throws 4 pitches, more than 15%. He leads with that knuckleball, and that knuckleball has a 30% whiff rate, a 27% put away rate, and just a 200 expected batting average against. And he's also done a good job at limiting the hard contact. Exit velocity and hard hit rate are in the top 15%. Barrel rate is in the top half. It's fantastic. And it's been even better over the past month. He's got just a 24% hard hit rate and a 1.9% barrel rate. Absolutely amazing. You love to see it. Looking at his batted ball data, he's in line with MLB averages in terms of his ground ball, fly ball, and line drive rates. He does give up more contact than most, but his weak contact rate is almost double the league average. And if you're giving up a lot of contact, but it's weak contact, give me that dribbler to short or a dribbler to second. Those are easy outs. They get pitchers out of innings quickly as well. But we do want to understand he is going to be a volatile pick overall, because if the knuckleball doesn't knuckle, it's a batting practice fastball. The defense isn't bad behind him either. Angel Stadium is a neutral park, and Petco Park is a pitcher's park. It's pretty friendly for pitchers there. I think he's a really good option this week. Just, again, keep in mind the volatility and keep an eye on him going forward. San Diego is a team that can score runs in bunches, and if you can get in on some of that, it could be a nice, easy source of wins, which definitely can be pretty damn hard to find. What do we got going on here in the chat?
We're talking about hard hit balls and smashing
hard hit balls.
And we were confused why you said corpse several comments ago.
Yeah, corpsing. It's like an unscheduled laugh. Think about like Saturday Night Live. Jimmy Fallon was always laughing when his ass wasn't supposed to. And she's out here talking all that shit. So, all right.
What we got next?
Well, you know, our Thursday show wouldn't be what it is if we didn't throw out there that kind of 2 a.m. the lights are coming on desperation play. And this week is no different. This time it's Ryan Feltner of the Colorado Rockies. Again, he's a desperation play only if you need some innings. He's got games against the Reds and at the Cardinals. The Reds have really been on the struggle bus, and they're striking out quite a bit as of late. However, they will take a walk. The Cardinals have been on a little bit of hot streak in terms of offensive output, but it hasn't always necessarily translated to runs. This dude, he's had an up and down season so far. He's just 1-4 in his 11 starts. He's struck out 49, walked 18, given up 8 home runs in just under 60 innings pitched. The ERA looks rough. Not going to lie to you. It's sitting at 5.5, but his expected ERA is at 3.86, and he's got a 4.19 xFIP. So there's some bad luck in there based on the quality of contact that he's allowing. And when we look at that, his quality of contact is really damn good. The barrel rate and exit velocity are both top 30%. His hard hit rate is about average, but again, you put them together and that's a nice profile of a pitcher that isn't getting hit too damn hard. He does give up a little more overall contact than average, both in and out of the zone. And that's, you know, kind of a theme today. And again, not a whole lot of swing and miss with him. His swinging strike rate is right at MLB average. His whiff rate is a little low, but he does have the ability to fool hitters at times and get them to chase. But still, his strikeout rate is below average at just 7.5 strikeouts per 9. The good thing is he doesn't hurt himself by giving up a lot of walks, which helps when you're a Coors Field pitcher. And he's a contact pitcher, which can be dangerous in that park, but he's got a solid defense behind him. What's really helping him besides the lack of walks is he's somebody who induces a lot of weak contact compared to the rest of the league, but he'll still give up his fair amount of hits. Looking at the batted ball data, we can see that he'll coax ground balls at a slightly above average rate and does what he can to limit line drives. This year, though, it's been night and day with his slider. He's really been let down by it. He's getting less movement across both planes this year compared to last year. And when we look specifically at that pitch last season, it had a 178 average against last season with a 188 expected average. Compared to this year, that batting average against is at 347 with a 285 expected. So it's been bad. There's, again, a little bit of bad luck in there, but that's a big ass deviation from last year. Despite the lack of real consistent swing and miss, he has shown this season he can get double-digit strikeouts in a game, and he can work deep into games. He's at his best when he's being efficient. This week, I think he can coax a quality start out of these 2 starts. I think there's a good chance he can give you 5 innings in both of them.
Yeah.
And in points league, that's what you want. Give me some innings, get me a few strikeouts. If you can get me a quality start, I'm a happy camper.
Absolutely. Now you got what? One of our 2 starts that you want to that we're advising you probably not to start, or definitely think about it twice. Who you got?
Yeah. So this Pirates rookie starting pitcher has taken the league by storm so far this year, but it's not the rookie pitcher that we were expecting. Everybody was looking forward to Paul Skeens. I'm talking about Jared Jones, cover boy of the thumbnail this week, and chances are maybe a big reason why you guys clicked on this video. He's got starts against the Dodgers and against Minnesota. We know who the Dodgers are, right? I don't even need to look and see what they've done over the past couple of weeks, because I don't give 2 shits what they've done over the past couple of weeks. The Dodgers are the damn Dodgers.
Right.
The Twins, they've been drawing a lot of walks, and they've struck out quite a bit in the past few weeks. And otherwise, they've been kind of mid in that time. This dude was a surprise call up at the start of the season, and he's looked fantastic. On the year, he's 3-5 with a 3.5 ERA, with an expected ERA and xFIP a little lower, a shit ton of strikeouts, a few too many home runs, and he's not really walking many guys, and that's something kind of interesting. By lots of strikeouts, I mean he's striking out 10 batters per 9 at a 28% clip. His 23% strikeout minus walk rate is 11th in baseball. His chase and whiff rates, can he fool hitters? Can he get the swing and miss? Well, those are both top 7%. And his 16.8% swinging strike rate is the best in the damn game. He's also very efficient. He's got a 70% strike rate. And that walk rate that I was talking about, 4.8%, top 15 in the game. It's funny, though, because coming up through the minors, the entire time, he had walk rates double that and more. So I think we're going to see a little bit of regression there. But what happens when they hit the ball, right? They hit that shit hard. His exit velocity is bottom third of the league. Barrel and hard hit rates are both in the bottom 25%. Now, part of that we can explain because this dude throws hard as shit, right? He could throw a baseball through a car wash and come out the other side dry. That contact, though, doesn't happen much. He's allowing contact at a 69% rate, which is fantastic. As a matter of fact, it's third best in baseball, and his contact numbers both in and out of the zone are well below average. And you might say, well, you're not really making a great case to sit him. And you're right, because he's been fantastic when you take a step up and look at the 10,000 foot view. But let's open up the hood a little bit and see what's been going on here. His recent performance, his last 4 starts, he's allowed 3 or more earned run in 3 of those 4 starts, and he's allowed more hits, 25, than he's had innings pitched, 22 1/3. He's given up 13 earned runs in that time, including 4 home runs. That walk rate is starting to climb too. He's walked 2 or more guys in 3 of the last 4. And his strikeout rate, down 10 points. And lately, he's been striking out just a little over 7 per 9 innings. We're talking about a difference of 3 strikeouts per 9. That's a big-ass deficit. His swinging strike rate is also down 4 points along with it. His first pitch strike rate is down to just 57% from 63.5, which is already not that great. Look, this dude is still a good pitcher. He just hasn't been that effective, and we've seen that in his points output. He's the number 71 SP in Yahoo behind Spencer Arrighetti and just better than Austin Gomber over his last 4 starts. These 2 teams are not the 2 teams where he's going to go out and get right against them. At least I don't believe that. I think he can give you a couple serviceable starts, but facing those teams and knowing what those offenses can do, there's a big chance that we've got 2 blow-up starts coming this way, and that can absolutely tank your week.
It can. Before we get into waivers, here's some comments in the chat. We were talking about the Brady roast as well, but she James has a comment. Thanks for your advice about Altuve on Wednesday. Traded him and Naylor for Freeman, which opened up a extra roster spot for him. I think that's excellent. Good trade. I think I responded, getting a piece of that Dodgers offense is nice. I think that's a nice trade.
Hell yeah, it is. Nice work, James.
And Kelsey's picking on you because of big ass deficit, and Matt likes big ass. LOL. All right, man.
That's it. I mean, I'm a man who can appreciate a nice round mound to get down, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. All right, waiver time, right?
Yes, it is. And this dude that we're going to talk about first has shown absolutely amazing improved plate discipline and more pop in his bat than I think what people really expected him. And they make this Mariner do it all player an interesting target. What's the word on Dylan Moore, Kyle?
Dude, I'm very impressed with him. Being on the West Coast, or him being on the West Coast, most of them games happen out there. I don't get to see all those all the time, just clips and stuff here and there. So I didn't know him very well, but eligible at second, short, and outfield. He's rostered 51% in Yahoo, got a 10% gain in the last day. He started playing more when Crawford and Polanco got hurt, and he can play all over, and he's really taken advantage of that. Up until last week, he batted in the bottom third of the order, but the last 6 games, he's been in the 2-hole and producing. In his last 15 games, he is the number 13 second baseman and number 13 third baseman and number 36 fantasy outfielder. On the season, he's got, in that last 15 games, struck out just 20% of the time, 9 walks. Got a nice on-base percentage of an even 400, and the slugging's just amazing at 563. He's had 3 home runs, 7 ribbies, 2 stolen bases, and tied for third with 6 doubles in that time frame. On the season, 32 hits, 10 of those were doubles, 2 triples, 6 homers, 20 ribbies, 18 runs, and 8 stolen bases. If you weren't adding there real fast, or you're a little slow on math there, more than half of his hits were extra base hits. You'll take that all freaking day long, and that's a ton of ways he can get you points. Get you going in a points league, especially with the 8 stolen bases. I like that he's producing with a less than average BABIP as well at 277, about 20% less than league average. He is overperforming right now, with his expected stats. His batting average is 224. Expected slugging is a lot lower than his actual at 380. Strikeout rate on the season's 24-1. It's below average, but much improved by almost 10%. He really improved a lot of things in the offseason. And walk rate is excellent, walking about 12% of the time. He's in the top 5th of qualified hitters. Hits the ball with some authority, you know what I'm saying? He is among the top 3rd best hitters in exit velo, hard hit, and bat speed and barrel rate. Also in the top 10% in launch angle sweet spot. His launch angle, take a guess what it is. It's ridiculous.
7.
25.2 degrees. That's more than double league average. Not something new either. He's got a career launch angle of about 20. I like it. He's mostly a line drive and fly ball hitter, pulls the crap out of the baseball. His extra base hits are, easily explained by his 31% line drive weight. That's way, way above league average. So I don't know if this guy got LASIK or an eye transplant or something in the offseason, but his eye at the plate, as you mentioned at the top of the segment there, has been phenomenal. He's just slightly above average when it comes to whiffs, but hey, a lot of hard hitters tend to be that way. But he was extremely worse last year at 33%. He's made a 10% improvement year over year. He's in the top 3% in chase rate. He just isn't tempted to swing at anything outside of the strike zone. And he carries a career 22% chase rate, which is 6% better than league average currently. I can't emphasize what an important trait that is for a hitter, for a fantasy hitter, how we want to phrase it. It's pretty damn good. And for a guy that was kind of the opposite last year, I like his improvements. If you look more at his plate discipline, it makes sense. He's about 5% lower in his contact when he does chase, because he just doesn't swing. He waits for his pitch. He makes contact over 83% of the time, way better than league average. Dude just swings at 18% of the pitches out of the zone. That's very low. He's kind of really leveraged May's hot streak into everyday at bats. It's probably unfair to expect him to continue contributing at this clip. So we're going to ride the hot streak. His multi-position eligibility can be useful. You got injury plagued lineups that happen every day. He bats right-handed and gets on base just as much, no matter what hand the pitcher is tossing the damn ball with. It's got 6 games, both on the road. 6 games all on the road versus Oakland and Kansas City. He's a waiver ad right now. You're just going to ride the wave, and when it crashes into shore, you're going to drop him when that streak ends.
Like most of our waiver wire targets.
Right. We talk about a catcher. We don't talk about him too much. This catcher is number 10 in fantasy for the month of May. Among all qualified hitters in May, he's tied for 5th in doubles, 15th in batting average. He's been batting 2nd in the order. Tell us about Danny Jansen with the Blue Jays, Matt.
Danny Jansen. Yeah. And I think this is the first time that we've talked about him really at all this year.
I believe so.
He got a late start to the season. He didn't play his first game until the 16th of April, but this dude has been on fire lately. He's got multiple hit games in 4 of his last 8 starts, including 4 extra base hits. And you mentioned it. He's moved up in the order. He's hitting 2nd over the last 10 days. And prior to that, he was hitting towards the back half of the middle of the order. So it's not like they moved him from, 8th to 2nd. He was, 5th, 6th, somewhere in there. He doesn't have enough plate appearances to qualify for the StatCast leaderboard, but holy shit, if he did, he'd be amongst the league leaders in many of those categories. I think the biggest thing for him really this season leading to his success, and granted it's a smaller sample, his plate discipline has been outstanding this year. He's got a career low 14.5% strikeout rate and a walk rate at 11%. His chase and whiff rates would both be in the top 25%, and his swinging strike rate is at a career best 6.4%. That is outstanding. And this dude has been much more patient at the plate. Just a 16.4% first pitch swing rate. That's the lowest of his career by 11 points. He's making a lot of contact, doing so at almost an 84% clip, and he's doing so with authority. Barrel rates in the top quarter of the league, exit velocity and hard hit rate are mid-pack. But again, that's a nice little profile there. And the Blue Jays offense as a whole is heating up. They're 4th in the American League in runs scored over the past couple weeks. And here's the big thing right here. He has 13 of his next 19 games at home where he is much, much better. He's hitting 300 at home. All 5 of his home runs have come there, despite the fact that they made all those changes to the park and made things more difficult for right-handed hitters. He's a damn good option to pick up, especially if you've got a catcher who's been struggling or whatever it may be. Once you get outside the top 5 or 6 catchers, maybe 7, it's almost like a merry-go-round anyway, right? Catcher is a very top-heavy position. Pick him up, ride this hot streak, get what you can get out of him, and then kick his ass to the curb.
Absolutely.
So I know somebody earlier was talking about wanting some outfielder targets, and we're going to oblige, and our boy Kyle finally gets to talk about a Tiger. This dude has 4 home runs in his last 3 games, and now there's some at-bats up for grabs because Kerry Carpenter hit the IL. Kyle, tell us why Matt Vierling is getting scooped up left and right.
Yeah, you mentioned because of that, guaranteed for an everyday role now. He's been producing. He has 8 hits in his last 3 games, half of which for those 4 home runs you mentioned, 9 ribbies and 6 runs scored. In 49 games played this year, he has 46 hits. Think about that for a minute. That's pretty good. 5 doubles, 4 triples, 7 home runs, 28 ribbies, 22 runs on the year. He is slashing 289, 320, 503 slugging with an 823 OPS. His expected stats of batting average, slugging, and WOBA are all above average, and they are all better than last season. In fact, his expected slugging's up 50 points higher year over year. Strikeout rate, 21.9, rate about average. Walk rate, kind of fugly at 4.1%. Last year, he was right at average. So hopefully he can kind of claw back there as the season progresses. BABIP, he's having a bit of luck. He's at 333, but you're going to take it right now because he's been so hot. Not much of a fly ball hitter this year or really throughout his career. He is, however, an excellent line drive hitter, smacking them 30.6% of the time this year. One concern I have with him is his pop-up percentage. It's something that Matt and I have seen firsthand being a Tigers fan. He pops up a lot, over 4% higher than league average. It's pissed me off. I don't know, it was early season where we had a rally going on and he effed it up. But one of the things going for him is his ability to just straight up smash baseballs. Exit velo, launch angle are both in the top 10% of best hitters. Also improved both year over year. Hard hit rate sits in the top 5th of best hitters. Barrel rate and expected slugging are both above average, and all three are, yep, you guessed it, both better than last season. He's above average contact hitter, both in and out of the zone, just like Dylan Moore. Has an excellent eye at the plate. Doesn't swing and miss much either. His whiff rate is 19%. It's very good. He's in the 80th percentile in the league. His chase rate is almost identical to Dylan Moore's, 18.7. That puts Vierling among the top 5th best of all hitters. He's got 6 games scheduled next week. 3 are at the Rangers in hitter-friendly Globe Life Park. I like that spot. And 3 at home versus the Brewers. Out of those 6 games, the 6 opposing pitchers scheduled in those games currently, just one scares me. Milwaukee's Freddie Peralta. So if you're looking for a replacement for Acuna still, because the guy you picked up last week was a shitty dud, he's a decent choice for week 11 and possibly a couple weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we got James in the chat here.
Excellent.
If he's not confident Jared Jones and Garrett Crochet will be available to him during the playoffs in September, would you try to flip them both in a trade for Zach Wheeler? I think that's a steep ass price to pay. Jared Jones pitched over 120 innings each of the past 2 years in the minors. So I don't think there's going to be any issue getting him up around the 160, 170 mark. Crochet is a completely different story though. He's probably going to max out maybe around 100, 120 being generous. That said, I think those two going over for Zach Wheeler is probably a pretty damn big overpay. If anything, I'd want to get, I'd want a pretty damn good hitter coming back in return. I wouldn't just try and flip those two for Zach Wheeler by himself. I understand the trepidation, though, James, of getting closer to the playoffs and not having 2 very, very good pitchers available to you. So it makes sense that you'd be looking that way.
I agree. All right. Speaking of pitchers, we got a couple waiver targets for pitchers. First one, he had his best performance of the season on Tuesday. Granted, he's only pitched a few times since returning from a shoulder strain. Has an impressive 16 to 3 K to walk ratio through 12 innings after returning from injury. I'm talking about Tylor Megill with the New York Mets.
Yep, this dude, and he spells Tylor weird. Although it's not as bad as Mackenzie Gore. Like the way he spells Mackenzie has to be like the most pretentious way possible.
Yeah.
But I'm getting off track here. So this dude, he missed most of the season with a shoulder strain. He made one start back in March and then hit the IL, and he come back a little over a week ago. And this dude was a reliever for most of his career up until last season. He became a full-time starter, and there was some mixed results there. We've seen the upside before, or the strikeout upside before, though, and he's really showing it off this season. Like you mentioned, in just a couple starts since coming back for injury, 16 strikeouts, 3 walks, just 2 earned runs allowed in 12 innings pitched. And his last time out, 7 shutout innings against the Dodgers with 9 strikeouts. I don't give a shit who you are. If you can do that, you're doing something good. This dude's chase rate is not amazing, right? He's not fooling hitters, but his whiff rate is outstanding, and his swinging strike rate is well above average. The walks are a little high, but he's shown in the past that he can keep them under control, and I would bet that he's going to be able to show that to us again. He's had a tendency to give up long balls in the past, but he has yet to allow any this season, which is huge. He's been a high-end SP3 since returning with the fourth highest strikeout total among starters. Now, I don't expect him to be an SP3 the rest of the way, but he can be more than serviceable provided he's deployed correctly. His next start is Sunday against Arizona. I would absolutely run him out there in that start because, again, Arizona is tied with the White Sox for the fewest runs scored in the past couple of weeks. And after that, it's a little bit cloudier, right? Because there's some rumblings that the Mets are going to go to a 6-man rotation. So his next start could possibly be against the Phillies in London, which I don't want any part of.
No.
Or if it's not, he's got a 2-step against Miami and San Diego at home. I would absolutely love to have that. So if you're looking for somebody who can give you some innings, can give you some strikeouts, and you can stomach a little volatility, and you're not just going to be a complete dipshit and run him out there against the best teams in the league, that start against the Dodgers notwithstanding, Tylor Megill can be a damn good option for you. And at just 8% rostered, he's available or should be available to pretty much everybody who's watching today.
Excellent. Love it. Tylor Megill. All right. Well, sorry, my bad.
So
one more.
Yep.
Yeah,
we've got one more to talk about in this Cubs rookie starting pitcher. And we've been talking about a lot of rookies today. This guy's striking out almost 30% of hitters, and he's done so very, very quietly. Why has everybody been sleeping on Ben Brown?
I think it has a lot to do with his, it's been bounced around from the bullpen to the rotation. So you just want to get some consistency in that before you pull the trigger on him. But I'm looking the other way on that. I like that. I think he, in his last 2 starts versus the Braves and the Brewers on the 23rd and 28th, both 2 teams with potent lineups, he went a total of 11 innings, just 1 hit allowed, no earned run, 4 walks, 16 Ks. One of those were a quality start. Unfortunately, they were both no decisions, but that's pretty good. On the season, he has 13 total appearances, 6 starts. He's 1-1 with a 2.72 ERA and a 1.06 WHIP. FIP is a bit lower than his ERA, and his xFIP isn't too much higher either. You mentioned that strikeout rate, 29.9. He's in the 86th percentile. You strike out almost a third of batters, you're going to be on fantasy fucking radars. Walk rate, 9.2, a bit high, but workable. Dude throws gas, right? Fastball velo, 96.5 miles an hour. It's in the top 12% in the league. And because of that, he gets hit hard. Hard hit rate, 55%. Exit velo is 93.4 miles an hour. Both are in the bottom 1% in the league. And his barrel percentage is very bad as well, in the bottom 10% in the league. Does get great swing and miss to his pitch. Well, he only really throws a couple pitches. His overall riff rate is 31.7. He's among the top 10 best pitchers in the league. I mentioned that 96 mile an hour fastball. You might think the whiffs come from that, but you would be wrong. It's his knuckle curve. Amazing. He throws it 36% of the time, generating whiffs over 50% of the time. That's just crazy. That's very high. It's very good. I love his above average chase rate. And when he does get batters to chase, they only make contact 45% of the time. That is way less, about 12% less than league average. He's going to have back-to-back starts against the Reds. He's got one this Sunday coming up. So if you're in, points league, it's not going to worry for you next week, but his following one is on the 8th at Cincinnati. Could be definitely worth an add, especially with that strikeout percentage combined with his swing and miss. I will caution you, it's very possible he's sent back to the bullpen with Jordan Wicks looking to come back early June. He's already had a couple rehab startings in the minors, so make sure you check on that.
Yes, sir. So we got Evan here in the comments. As a Cubs fan, he's been great to have as a starter, talking about Ben Brown, but Wicks is going to be coming back, like you talked about.
Yep.
Not sure who gets bumped between Assad, Brown, or Wicks. And that's very interesting. And then just adding on, he's been great since his first start where he got his dick knocked in the dirt against the Rangers.
Yeah,
I don't know. I really want to see how much longer Assad can keep this up, because he's been pitching out of his goddamn mind. And when I look at his underlying skill set, it doesn't add up, right? It's smoke and mirrors and
Hell, it
bullshit and
is.
subversion. And if anyone's going to come tumbling back down to earth, I think it's going to be Assad.
I agree.
But I also don't think he's going to pitch poorly enough to lose his spot in the rotation, because you have to give some credence to what he's done already, regardless of, the luck factor.
Exactly. I agree. Great question, Evan. If you haven't already, give us a like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Everybody smash those like buttons for us. We're on the march to 500 subscribers, and God damn it, we got to get there.
Yeah. You can find us on the socials. We're at Stoned on Sports 1 on Twitter or X. Everywhere else, we are Stoned on Sports Podcast. So Facebook, Instagram, and all that other shit.
Excellent. Smash the effing like, Kelsey says. I love it. I hope we helped you with 2 start pitchers and some waiver recommendations for week 11. We have the full rankings for the 2 start pitchers. I think there's about 31 of them for week 11. They are available at the website, stonedonsportspodcast.com. Yeah, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. We're available on Spotify, Apple, and more. And we have a sister channel too. We do fantasy football. Jeez, I can't get situated there. Fantasy football. It's Stoned on Sports Fantasy Football. Pretty easy to understand. We'll be having regular content on there before we switch over to that full time starting in the fall. Have a great evening, everyone, and stay stoned.
See you, folks.